This is chapter number 5, when people rebel. So we are talking about 1857 revolt and what happened after that. But we'll be talking more what happened before it. So 1857 is a very big date. Actually, it's a month, it's an year. So if you go back 100 years back, after 100, so before and after, Britishers were here. But this was a turning point, 1857. What we discussed is, before that East India Company, then finally British government had a direct rule here. So we talked about company, that is East India Company. So here, this company made different rules, regulations, qanoon, laws. It has certain type of governance, a different kind of governance, a colonial governance. So every one of the society, he or she may be a king, Raja, Nawab, chieftains, or a queen. The normal people like peasants, the farmers, the laborers, the landlords, the moneylenders, the tribal group, Adivasi, Janjati group, or the Sipahi, or the soldiers. Everyone was affected in one or another way. So what we say is, company has good laws, but for themselves, not very good for these people. So when you do something for someone and say you are doing good for them, and it is not good for them, they start resisting your policies. They start resisting, revolting against your actions. That is, if their interests are being harmed, or their sentiments, feelings, everyone has sentiments and feelings, human beings. So if things goes against their, say, religious belief, if whatever way they used to live, they will revolt. They will do bagawat. They will protest. So 1857, there was a spark, but it actually went out to be a big fire in 1857. So what do you see in this picture is Sipahi, and the peasants. They came together for this revolt, and this revolt spread across all the northern India, plains of northern India in 1857. So I'll show you the places where exactly the key points, center points, Kendra Bindu were there. Before going ahead, this has to be very clear for you, then only you will understand. We'll talk about the people who led the protest. So, these red triangles, these are the main centers, key centers of the revolt, the protest. So it all started in Meerut. The black dots or black triangle, these are also the centers of the revolt, but they finally were behind someone, some leaders, Netha, and they ultimately came to these main centers to join the revolt. 1857 revolt, one of the biggest in the history against the colonial government. So it's all started, as I said, from Meerut. And this Meerut cantonment, these are the sepoys, these are the Sipahis of British government or British East India Company. And they came to Delhi. In Delhi, also the same people, same sepoys working under East India Company. So same people, same sepoys, Meerut, they came, Delhi. Now Bareilly also people came, the sepoys came. When Delhi people or Delhi sepoys knew that Meerut, Bareilly are coming, they also started this, joined. And they went to Bahadur Shah Zafar. Bahadur Shah Zafar said no first, then he agreed. Then Lucknow, Awadh, Nawab Wajid Ali Shah was deposed. Jhansi, her Rani Lakshmibai was there, and she had an adopted son. And Dalhousie, because of the doctrine of lapse, Dalhousie hadn't accepted the plea Kanpur also, Peshwa, Nana Sahib Peshwa. He was the adopted son of Peshwa Bajirao too. Faizabad, we have Maulvi, one scholar, religious scholar, Islami. So these are all the main points. And it goes up to Neemaj, goes up to, the points which are very far if you see here. Down below, Jabalpur, Mahoo, military head of works, MHOW, Dinapur, to the far right. So all these, these stretch was quite wide till Sialkot, Lahore, which is in Pakistan today. So that means this was a very, very big revolt. So what was the problem? Why this revolt has come up? So the initial thing was Nawabs. Now we are not talking about Nawabs. Nawab means chieftains, the Rajas, the kings, everyone who were holding the territory or who was governing the territory. So 1750 we are talking about. Please keep in your mind we are talking about 1857. So mid 18th century, around 1750 and plus, the Nawabs, the Rajas or the people who were governing certain territory, the power got eroded. They gradually lost their power, valor, authority, honor, izzat, samman, their way to govern. So previously they had a territory, they used to do the way they want, but it was all taken slowly and gradually. Most of these states which company took over, the company actually had a resident. They implanted a resident here. And this resident was the East India Company representative only. So directly East India Company through this resident was controlling this regime territory. So the Raja previously, he would do everything for the people, he is Raja. But now the East India Company has taken over. So it can be anyone, Nawab, Raja. The Shasak, the way of governance changed because now the power is zero for them or almost nil. Right? The armed forces are taken away from them because of the Sahayak Sandhi, because of the subsidiary alliance. That is, this place, you cannot have your army. Means if East India Company is there, you cannot have your army. East India Company is responsible for your protection. The army will be of East India Company. And now this Raja, Nawab or whichever, you have to pay for us. Pay to us for this army. All the revenue sources, all the territory, it was slowly and gradually taken away from all these Nawabs, big people. Okay? Now what happened in between? See, there are various families, royal families, who actually approached Lord Dalhousie or the biggest people of East India Company. So we have Lord Dalhousie also, Canning also. So they went, like Rani Lakshmi Bai. Rani Lakshmi Bai, she was from Jhansi. And the kid you see is her adopted son. Okay. Gangadhar Rao, Damodar Rao, all these were name of father and the son. But the father died. So Jhansi Rani requested that please allow my son, who is adopted son, to take the responsibility of the kingdom as the king. But East India Company denied. Same is the case with Nana Sahib Peshwa. He was adopted son of, see here it is Peshwa Bajirao II. So Nana Sahib Peshwa was the adopted son of Peshwa Bajirao. And Peshwa Bajirao, he was sent to Kanpur, a place near Kanpur is Bithur. So when Maratha lost, he was sent by company to a place near Kanpur, which is Bithur. And he adopted a son, Nana Sahib Peshwa. Nana Sahib Peshwa also went to Dalhousie and other people that my father was getting this pension, please give me that also. And please allow me to govern this place. So actually he didn't want to govern, he actually wanted pension. So they had most of the places they had subsidiary alliance. In Awadh, there is Lucknow and nearby areas. So the company was having a policy called subsidiary alliance. 1801, they took over Awadh, and then subsidiary alliance was imposed. But after around 55 years, 1856, it's just near 1857. As I told you, 1857. These are all the sparks which I am telling you. What actually instigated 1857? So now it was just subsidiary alliance, but finally 1856, it was taken away. Governor General Dalhousie, he took this place because he had the doctrine of lapse. It was basically, if you don't have a kid or a prince, then the whole territory will be taken. Same happened with Jhansi ki Rani and this Peshwa Bajirao. So what happened here is they didn't take this Awadh on this reason, doctrine of lapse, but rather they said something else. They said, you Nawab Wajid Ali Shah, you are not governing properly this territory. You are misgoverning this territory. Lord Dalhousie said that because we are the authority of whole India and we are taking care of the people, you are not governing properly. Now, please, Wajid Ali Shah was deposed, means from the throne. But the people loved him. Wajid Ali Shah was loved by the people of Awadh. So the way, in a different manner or in a not justifiable manner, how Wajid Ali Shah was deposed from the throne, people didn't like it. One more plan was there. Mughal dynasty was going on. It was there. At that time, 1857, it was Bahadur Shah Zafar. So what he did? The coin, they started with the coin, because in coin it was Mughal king, the picture of Mughal king. So when they minted the coin, they removed the picture or the name of the Mughal king. First thing they did this thing. Lord Dalhousie did one more thing. He said that when Bahadur Shah Zafar, he is Bahadur Shah Zafar. Let me show you the picture of Bahadur Shah Zafar. Now here is Bahadur Shah Zafar. Lord Dalhousie said that this Bahadur Shah Zafar, when he after his death, the family of him will be taken away or will be shifted from Red Fort to some other place in Delhi, but not in Red Fort. That is, they were trying to cut down the power or whatever is remaining of this Mughal dynasty. First thing they said that. Okay. Now came Governor General Canning, this man. What he did in 1856? I am going toward 1857. Now he said Bahadur Shah Zafar, he was already ailing and he was already very old. Canning said Zafar will be the last Mughal king. After this, no one will be the Mughal king. No descendant, no offspring. The bacha or the kids will only be said as princes. No king anymore. So he also stopped, he blocked the possibility of next Mughal king. This Canning did. Okay. So this was happening. Dalhousie did something. Canning did something, and this was all happening. Nawabs and the Mughal dynasty, they are all feeling the heat. And what happened to peasants and sepoys? This is also a story. See, peasants are basically farmers. Sepoys are the army men who are recruited, who are working with East India Company as soldiers. So they were called as sepoy or sipahi. Now the peasants and farmers, the tax being imposed on them were huge, high taxes. How these poor peasants or the farmers will pay that? They will take money from moneylenders, and finally moneylender, when they can't pay back, moneylender will grab their land, will take their land, they will lose their land. So the way the revenue collection was done by the company or the zamindars or the people, lathiyals we call them, it was very distressing for the peasants and farmers. Means their all life, their generation, they had a land, they were tilling, and now because of just these taxes and the policies of the Britishers, they are losing their land, they have lost their land. They are going to either company or to moneylenders. So this was the problem of peasants. What about the sepoys? Now, sepoys were actually the soldiers of East India Company only. But there was a discontent. This EIC, East India Company, what they did was with the sepoy, first is the pay was very less. The allowances, the bhattas were very less. And the condition, moreover, the condition of service, it was just like, the Englishmen were living lavish life, good life, but these soldiers were treated badly. So the conditions of service were not good. But now they had a new rule. The new rule actually violated the religious beliefs, sensibilities and beliefs and all thoughts of these sepoys. And sepoys had Muslims also, Hindus also. So now the religious beliefs, when their rule violated their religious beliefs, that was the problem. People are good, but when it comes to religion, they are not good. They do whatever it's possible. Now, one more thing was there, that soldiers, these sepoys, at that time, they don't want to cross the sea, Samudra. They say that if we cross the sea, we are going to lose all the religion and caste we have. But in 1824, when the sepoys were asked, they were told, they were ordered that you have to go to Burma because the fight was going on. Company was fighting. But all these sepoys, they refused. They said, no, we cannot go through sea route. Our religion and caste will be lost. They said, okay, we'll go by land route. But company, when you are resisting the orders of company, they were severely punished. These sepoys were severely punished. Right? Now, these all things were happening. So in 1856, again near 1857, in 1856, company passed a new law, and they said every person we recruit, he has to abide by this Qanun, this law, that when we say him that you have to go overseas, you have to go through sea route to fight or to whatever activity we say, he has to go. So this was the law. Anybody joining has to do this. So what is the common thing between these peasant farmers and sepoy? Let me take you back. If you remember, Mughals, they had the Ghursawars. But the Banaras and Awadh dynasty, when they came into power, they used to recruit the peasants and farmers. East India Company also did that. They were also recruiting the sepoy coming from peasants and farmer family. So the sepoys were basically farmers only, and the farmer is related to sepoy, because sepoy, the father, the brother, the uncle, everyone is a farmer only. So the anger of the peasant, that is why it quickly spread among these sepoys. And this is two-way. Sepoy got angry because of farmer got angry because of the sepoy. So that is how sepoy get that ill feeling about the company and the British rule. Now there were certain other things also. Reforms. What does this reform say? Now British did good thing. I just say that they did certain things which are really good. But what Indian believe at that time, let me tell you. British said they believe that the Indian society is not civilized. We have to reform it. There are certain things which we have to change. For example, there are certain laws. First is they stopped, or they had a law for Sati Pratha. Sati Pratha was basically, if your husband die, you have to sit on his chitta and you have to burn yourself, or you will be burned. This is very bad. I just don't believe how this could happen. But it was there. Second thing was widowhood and remarriage. That if a man dies, the woman, the wife, cannot remarry. She is ill-treated in the society. She is just no one in the society. And remarriage, nobody can think of it. Okay. So, widowhood and remarriage and the Sati Pratha, they made all the laws so that the Sati Pratha can be abolished and the remarriage can be done. One more thing they did, Englishmen, Because they were Englishmen, they wanted everyone to learn English so that their work is easier. So they promoted it. In 1830, they did one more thing. After 1830, the Christian missionaries, those people who are religious people, and they will say about Christianism, and they will try to convert people to Christianity. So the Christian missionaries, they were given a lot of privileges. First is that they can take property, they can even own a land in India, in Indian subcontinent. In 1850, again near 1857, in 1850 there was a new law. If someone converts to Christianity, he is allowed to have all the property, he can inherit the property, he can have all the sampatti in the property he has. Okay, so but all these, what I feel is somewhat good, but the people at that time, they didn't feel these all things which I said. They said, the Indians thought that Britishers are actually destroying their religion, their social custom, riti rivaj, and the way they were living, they are destroying it. They are destroying religion, social customs, and the way they used to live conventionally their life. So this was also the spark which people had. But there are people who were like me, they were happy when these social practices were being abolished, like sati pratha and widowhood. So these were all the reasons why people got angry. They had an anger and which outburst which came as 1857 revolt. So whatever we're discussing, as I said, history is facts. History is not a story. History is not a story. It can be a story, but history means facts. So we'll talk about these facts. All these books, memoirs, this is a book from Sepoy to Subedar. An Indian has written it. Okay. Subedar Sitaram Pandey. We'll talk about that. Till then, thank you so much. Take care of yourself.